Yep, this is that video. Fire types only. We all know the drill. Stop at Professor Oak's lab, pick up a Charmander, battle our rival in an incredibly simple battle that has to be sped up in editing because I literally can't drag the explanation of the battle out long enough. Since I'm not going to have a second Pokemon for quite a while, I just decided that for every major battle I'd start off at a certain point, then for every loss I'd go up another level. For our second rival battle, we've gone up to level 10 from a starting point of 9. One Ember takes out close to half of Pidgey's health as well as burning him, so his tackle is weakened and we finish it with another Ember. Squirtle seems intent on lowering our defense, so we decide to lower his attack. From here it's more or less of a repeat of the first battle with us trading tackles and scratches until we win. Going into Brock, the only way I was ever going to beat him was to get Charmander to at least level 13 where she learns Metal Claw. Again, failing means going up a level, so this is the second attempt where we're entering at level 15. The first hit of Metal Claw gives us an attack boost, which means the second hit is enough to take Geodude out. When Onyx comes in though, Metal Claw is only able to take out about a third of his health, but thankfully Brock at no point calls for Rock Tomb, so Charmander can survive some tackles before leveling up and evolving into Charmeleon. Up next is the rival battle with Gary, and once again this is not a first try victory. In terms of movesets, she swapped out Growl for Mega Punch. Pidgeotto's out first, who gets burnt on our second hit of Ember and lives on 1 HP before falling to a scratch. Squirtle's out next, and he lives in green health from a Mega Punch before using Withdraw. With the raised defense, a second Mega Punch leaves him around a quarter health before he hits hard with a Water Gun. Thankfully though, Charmeleon lives through it and gets off one more Mega Punch to take the tiny turtle Pokemon out. Abra's in next, and the lack of an attacking move means this is an easy victory with a couple of Embers. That just leaves Rattata, who gets off a quick attack before falling in one shot to Ember. Now, Misty is the gym leader I was most concerned about in this challenge. At least with Brock we have Metal Claw as a super effective move, but against Misty's water type the best we can do is neutral damage. What you're seeing here is all the failures that meant I had to level up again. I included these because I do not want to hear shit about how I over-level too much in these challenges. With Charmeleon up to level 29, a Mega Punch is enough to one-shot Staryu, but let's be honest, Staryu is a little bump compared to the hurdle that is Starmie. Charmeleon eats a Water Pulse before hitting with a crit Mega Punch that leaves Starmie deep in red health. That obviously causes Misty to use a Super Potion, while our next Mega Punch only takes Starmie down to half health. It then uses another Water Pulse, which leaves Charmeleon on 8 HP before she pulls through with one final Mega Punch, knocking the mysterious Pokemon out. Wait, why the fuck is it called the mysterious Pokemon? Okay, this one was actually a first attempt, so let's get straight into the next rival battle. A couple of Embers make quick work of Pidgeotto, but a withdraw from Wartortle prevents Mega Punch from getting a 2-shot. We switch to Scratch, which knocks Wartortle out, then when Raticate comes out, it's another Ember 2-shot. Kadabra's out last, but he suffers the same fate as Blue's other non-fire resisting Pokemon. Moving on to Surge, for this one we replace Scratch with Cut. And of course this is the second attempt, so we've gone up a level. 2 Embers are enough to take Voltorb out, and Pikachu goes down even easier, only taking 1. Raichu takes an Ember pretty well though before setting up the double team. A Mega Punch then leaves Raichu on 1 HP before he fires back with a Shockwave. Of course Surge uses a Super Potion, and the Ember we fire off misses. Another Ember misses as Raichu paralyzes Charmeleon with Thunder Wave. Another double team means that yet another Ember misses, and one more helps Raichu evade the already inaccurate Mega Punch. Yet another double team is met with Charmeleon being fully paralyzed. Feeling safe with the raised evasion, Surge calls for a Shockwave, but against all odds, Charmeleon is able to hit with a Mega Punch that takes the mascot's evolved form down. While traversing through Rock Tunnel, Charmeleon reaches level 36 and evolves into a Charizard. Wartortle this time, who makes short work of Pidgeotto with Mega Punch and Bite. Once again a crit Mega Punch if he saw. When Gary sends out his Gyarados, Intimidate makes Mega Punch a bit less viable, so we change to using Wartortle's unaffected special attack stat. When Bite connects, it barely does anything, so we go back to Mega Punch. Thankfully that hits, but even though Gyarados is confused, he manages to keep threat. When Growlithe is sent out, Wartortle's attack is now down 2 stages, but we have super effective. Watergun one-shots the police dog and Wartortle reaches his evolution level before one-shotting Kadabra with Bite. Once the battle is over, we now have Blastoise. 3 gym badges and 2... With Vulpix's only damaging move being not very effective, we call for a combination of Will-O-Wisp and Confuse Ray. Of course, that doesn't work out all that well, but for some reason Giovanni avoids calling for Rock Slide, meaning we get off quite a bit of stall damage before Vulpix faints. Flareon's in next, and for some reason I call for Quick Attack. It makes a bit more sense on the next turn when Onyx is on 1 HP and faints anyway, but I really don't understand my own choices sometimes. When Rhyhorn comes in, despite the resistance, a Flamethrower still hits fairly hard, taking out almost half of his HP. All it takes is 2 more Flamethrowers as Rhyhorn just uses Tail Whip. Of course, that sets up well for Kangaskhan, who's barely phased by a Flamethrower before a Mega Punch destroys Flareon. When Arcanine comes in, Kangaskhan takes another Flamethrower. Seriously, she takes it better than the Pokemon who actually resisted it. We call for a takedown which does hit hard but also damages Arcanine. Another thing that hits hard is Kangaskhan's Mega Punch. Things get scary when Arcanine misses another takedown, but thankfully Kangaskhan misses her next Mega Punch. We managed to get off one last takedown, finishing a battle that really could have gone either way. Okay, battling Erica with nothing but fire types almost feels like it should be illegal. But it's part of the challenge, so let's set off some smoke alarms. Also, Charizard is fainted in the party so that we could cut the tree to get into Erica's gym. Victory Bell comes in, air Flamethrower. Up next is Flamethrower. Finally as well, put in Flamethrower. Huh. Impressive. Stun Spore, Hyper Push. Who are we kidding? Flamethrower. I'm pretty sure I just committed arson. Okay, for some reason I just never evolved Vulpix after the point I already intended to evolve it, so I do that now, getting a Ninetales. Rival battle time. Everyone's at level 38 except Charizard, who has just sort of naturally gone up to 39. For moves, Flareon now has Bite and Fire Spin in place of Sand Attack and Growl, Ninetales now has Flamethrower in place of Roar, and Arcanine and Charizard are unchanged. Flareon and Pidgeot each take a move twice, those being Wing Attack and Flamethrower, but Pidgeot faints while Flareon lives in yellow health. Of course, that means Blastoise comes out, and Flareon manages to live through a Water Gun, getting off a bite. He also gets off a Quick Attack before falling to Rapid Spin. Sucks too, because if it wasn't a crit, I reckon he could have lived it. We send in Ninetales, who misses with a Will-O-Wisp before getting hit by a Water Gun. Gary then decides to be a cunt, calling for Protect to prevent another Will-O-Wisp. Third time's the charm though, as Ninetales finally gets off a Will-O-Wisp before being taken into red health by another Water Gun. We get off a Confuse Ray, but Blastoise breaks through the confusion, knocking Ninetales out with a Water Gun. Arcanine's in next, and Blastoise protects himself from a takedown. With all the damage taken though, Blastoise can't survive the second attempt of takedown, and Gary sends out Growlithe. Intimidate lowers Arcanine's attack, meaning we call for Bite. Growlithe then uses Takedown, and we respond with our own Takedown. One more takedown from Growlithe leaves him on 1 HP, so we call for Bite, evening the matchup. Of course, that doesn't last long when Blue sends out Execute, who immediately falls to Flamethrower. Alakazam is in last, and 2 hits of Bite is more than enough to take him down. Going into the second Giovanni battle, Flareon takes a Poison Sting, but makes short work of Nidorino with a couple of Flamethrowers. Rhyhorn comes in next, who resists Flamethrower, getting just above half health before firing back with the Fury attack. We switch to Bite, which gets Rhyhorn into red health before he stomps on Flareon, who survives in yellow, to finish Rhyhorn off with another Bite. Giovanni sends out Kangaskhan, who takes about as much damage from Flamethrower as Rhyhorn did, only this time it burns her. That has the added effect of halving Kangaskhan's attack, allowing Flareon to live through a Mega Punch, while the parent Pokemon faints from her burn. That just leaves Nidoqueen, who finally takes Flareon out with a Poison Sting. For some reason I thought she had Earthquake in this battle, so I switched to Charizard. A Flamethrower takes out about a third of Nidoqueen's HP, and after taking a Body Slam I called for Metal Claw because I couldn't remember if there was any form of type advantage there. I know Steel is immune to poison and super effective against rock, I just couldn't remember if it was super effective against either poison or ground. Anyway, as I was talking, Charizard took Nidoqueen out with a Flamethrower and a cut. Moving on to Sabrina, Cadaver immediately sets up with a Calm Mind, which weakens the impact of Flareon's Bite. Cadaver then calls for a Future Sight as another Bite leaves Cadaver on 1 HP. That of course prompts Sabrina to use a Hyper Potion, and we call for Quick Attack, which sweet Jesus fuck! Why was I not using that before? Anyways, another Quick Attack unnecessarily crits and takes Cadaver out. Mr. Mime comes out next as Flareon takes the earlier Future Sight. A Quick Attack gets Mr. Mime just above half health, but a barrier stops that being very useful. We switch to Bite, which puts Mr. Mime deep into red health and causes her to flinch. Of course, Sabrina then uses another Hyper Potion, and forgetting that she still had one, I call for Quick Attack again. Barrier obviously weakens it, so back to biting. This time around it doesn't cause a flinch, and Mr. Mime gets off the Side Beam, but Flareon easily lives through it, getting one more bite off. Venomoth is out next, and this is an easy one. One Flamethrower quickly takes out Sabrina's only non-psychic type Pokemon, leaving only Alakazam. A Quick Attack leaves him just above half health before a Sidekick knocks Flareon out. From here though, it's easy. We send in Arcanine and... Wait, why did I Bite? Takedown was the obvious choice there. Wait, I used Bite again? Okay, at least I finally went to and it missed. Arcanine finally gets off the takedown, which obviously finishes Alakazam off, but that should have ended a hell of a lot sooner. Moving on to Koga, Flareon one-shots the first Coughing, but Muck decides to be difficult. A combination of Minimize, a Hyper Potion, and Toxic pretty effectively stall, but we manage to burn the big pile of goo, leading into a double knockout by status conditions. We send in Ninetales, who follows Flareon's lead, one-shotting Kadabra? We send in Ninetales, who follows Flareon's lead, one-shotting Coughing number 2 with Flamethrower. Weezing comes in, who does get off Toxic, but 2 shots of Flamethrower is all it takes to take him down. Now you may recall that one of the rules I set in place way back when I first started this challenge was that I couldn't use an HM slave unless absolutely necessary. Well, I didn't catch an HM slave for this challenge. As a matter of fact, I didn't even pick up the HMs for Surf or Strength. Now, you may be wondering, well then, how did you get to Cinnabar Island or the Indigo Plateau? Easy. I cheated. What? Come on, cheating is par for the course in this series. There is one more old rule I have to bring up, and that's if there's not enough in FireRed, I can bring them over from Leaf Green where they normally are. However, that would mean that Magmar was more or less post-game. I can't have that, so here's my justification, okay? I put it in the Pokemon Mansion because that's where it was in Pokemon Blue. And if you don't like that, fuck you, my video, my decisions. We catch the Magmar there, but it really doesn't matter all that much now since it doesn't factor into our battle with Blaine. Going into this one, the only difference other than levels is that Charizard has replaced Metal Claw with Slash. I'll probably regret that later, but that's what we've got for now. A critical hit on Bite takes Growlithe into red health, and when he hits with a takedown, it knocks him even deeper. Of course, all that does is force a Hyper Potion, but our Quick Attack does around a third of Growlithe's HP. We use Bite again, knocking Growlithe into yellow health before he puts himself back into red with another takedown. That means one more Bite finishes the job. Ponyta's in next, and though it seems like Flareon is going to lose the battle of Bite versus Stomp, Ponyta flinches after the second bite, allowing Flareon to get off a free hit, taking the Fire Horse down. Rapidash is in next, who immediately uses Bounce, meaning we miss our first attempt at Bite. When Rapidash lands, however, Flareon lives on 1 HP and despite paralysis, manages to bite Rapidash. Knowing it's the only attack we'll get off, we call for Quick Attack, which leaves Rapidash just above half health before Flareon falls to a Stomp. We send in Charizard next, hoping for Slash's high crit ratio, but it doesn't pay off. Rapidash uses Bounce, so we counter with Fly. Of course, once Rapidash is back on the ground, Blaine uses a Hyper Potion, but a critical hit on Fly takes the evolved Fire Horse out. That just leaves Arcanine. We begin calling for Slashes, failing to get the crit, while Arcanine gets crits on both his moves, taking Charizard out with a Fire Blast and a takedown. We send in our own Arcanine, who hits with a takedown. Blaine's Arcanine then uses Fire Blast, but thanks to our Arcanine's ability, that just means the flamethrower we send back is powered up and takes Blaine's Arcanine out. And then I caught a Rapidash with a Master Ball. It's level 39 with the moves Stomp, Takedown, Fire Spin and Agility, but I replaced Agility with Fury Attack. Okay, on to the final Giovanni battle. A critical hit on Stomp causes Rhyhorn to flinch, but a second one doesn't, so Rhyhorn makes short work of Rapidash with an Earthquake. We send in Arcanine, who takes Rhyhorn into red health with a bite, meaning it's Hyper Potion time. A complete waste as 2 more bites take Rhyhorn down before he can even do any more damage. Dugtrio's in next, who takes the bite a bit better before calling for Earthquake, then getting knocked out by Takedown. Nidoqueen's in next, and a Flamethrower gets her around half health before she finishes Arcanine with an Earthquake. We send in Ninetales next, who finishes the job with yet another Flamethrower. Nidoking comes in, who gets burnt by a Flamethrower, massively weakening the power of his Earthquake. Giovanni then uses a full heal, but that just means Ninetales gets a free shot of Flamethrower to knock Nidoking out. Rhyhorn's in next as Ninetale uses Will-O-Wisp before falling to an Earthquake. We send in Charizard despite its 4 times weakness to Rock, but that's fine because a crit Flamethrower makes it a one-shot. Okay, rival battle time, and now we actually get to use Magmar. We set up a sunny day, and while Magmar does take a wing attack, Flame Body instantly burns Pidgeot on contact. A crit Sunny Day boosted Flamethrower kinda seems like overkill here. Rhyhorn's in next, and when Smog does precisely fuck all, we go back to the supercharged Flamethrower. Blastoise is in next, who decides to swap out the Sunlight for Rain. We can't have that, so before Blastoise gets a Water Gun off, we set up Sunny Day again, weakening Water-type moves. Then we run that again, but even with the boost, Flamethrower barely does anything to Blastoise. We send in Charizard, who manages to get a crit on Slash as Blastoise sets up a Rain Dance. We can't risk getting hit, so we call for Fly. That unfortunately misses, but thankfully at this point Gary's Blastoise still only knows Water Gun. We call for Fly again, and this time it hits hard and crits, taking our rival's starter down. Growlithe is in next, but a couple of hits of Slash as well as the recoil from a takedown are more than enough to deal with him. Execute comes in, and bye Execute! Finally, Alakazam, who sets up a Future Sight, then finishes Charizard with Psychic. We send in Arcanine, and with a couple of bites and a failed Future Sight, we once again beat our rival. And now it is time once again to figure out the mess that is the levels I enter the Elite Four with. But I was cleaning my room out recently and actually found something to help with this, so let's cut to me recording on my bed however many days ago this was now. Okay, so I'm about to do the Elite Four run. Here's how I'm going to decide levels. Got a die here, 1 through 5. That's the corresponding Elite Four member or champion, match their levels. Charizard up to Gary's Ace. And 6, everyone matches Gary's Ace. That's a 5. We're all matching Gary. Okay, let's see where the team is at going into this one. Rapidash is at level 57 with the moves Stomp, Fire Spin, Takedown, and Bounce. Ninetales is level 59 with the moves Confuse Ray, Flamethrower, Quick Attack, and Will-O-Wisp. Arcanine is level 61 with Bite, Extreme Speed, Flamethrower, and Takedown. Magmar is level 59 with Smog, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, and Sunny Day. Flareon is level 59 with Flamethrower, Bite, Fire Spin, and Quick Attack. And finally, Charizard is level 63 with Fly, Steel Wing, Slash, and Blast Burn. Okay, let's see if Lorelei fucks this up. Rapidash starts off against Dugong, causing a flinch with a Stomp, then taking Dugong into red health with a couple of takedowns. Rapidash is then hit hard with a Surf before Lorelei uses a full restore, and a Bounce is all Rapidash can do before falling to Surf. We send in Ninetales, who hits with a Flamethrower that doesn't really do much before losing a little over half his health to Surf. Safeguard wears off at that moment though, meaning we're free to burn with Will-O-Wisp. Ninetales then lives on 2 HP from another Surf, getting off a Quick Attack before falling to Ice Beam. Dugong is so damaged though that Arcanine just needs one bite to finish it off. Cloyster then comes in, and thankfully her special defense is not the best, so after protecting from the first one, our second Flamethrower is enough for the one-shot. Lapras is in next, and we hit with another Flamethrower, taking away about a third of Lapras's HP before she does some serious damage with Surf. We call for a takedown, which is enough to take Lapras down to about a quarter before she finishes Arcanine off with another Surf. We send in Magmar and set up with Sunny Day. Lapras fires off a Confuse Ray though, which prevents Magmar from getting any hits in as she keeps hitting herself while being hit by Surf. We send in Flareon, and thanks to Sunny Day, Flamethrower is enough to take Lapras out. Slowbro, however, isn't part Ice-type, so actually resists Fire-type moves. Thankfully though, we have Bite, which is super effective and takes out half of Slowbro's health before she sets up with Amnesia. That unfortunately means that Bite doesn't do as much damage as a Yawn puts Flareon to sleep while Lorelei uses Full Restore. It seems all is lost until Flareon wakes up, getting a crit on Bite, which leaves Slowbro deep into red health before Flareon falls to Surf. That of course leaves us with Charizard, who's able to take Slowbro out with a Slash. Jinx is in next, and with no half fire resistance, a Blast Burn is more than enough to take her out. Moving on to Bruno, there's not much Rapidash can do against Onyx, missing a Fire Spin and getting a weak but still critical hit of Takedown before falling to a couple of Earthquakes. We send in Magmar to set up with Sunny Day, meaning the Fire Blast that hits Onyx is powered up. When Hitmonchan comes in, Fire Blast inaccuracy causes it to miss as Magmar is hit with a crit Rock Tomb that knocks her out. Ninetales is in next, and Flamethrower does a decent amount of damage as well as burning Hitmonchan. That massively weakens the impact of the Sky Uppercut, but a full restore means that one Flamethrower isn't enough to take the punching Pokemon out. That coincides with when Sunny Day runs out, meaning Hitmonchan is finished off with a normal strength Flamethrower. Bruno sends in Marchant next as Ninetales proves that he doesn't need the sunlight, getting a critical hit on Flamethrower that puts Marchant deep into the red health. A berry fixes that though, and why I went for quick attack I may never know. Then for a bit of overkill we finish it with a Flamethrower. Onyx comes in hitting with an Earthquake, but Ninetales lives, getting off a Will-O-Wisp. A weakened Earthquake still knocks Ninetales out, and we switch into Flareon. A Bite takes Onyx down to a quarter, while his weakened Earthquake still leaves Flareon in the green. Unfortunately, the burn takes Onyx into red health, meaning Bruno uses a full restore, so a few more bites take Onyx out, but a full strength Earthquake means Flareon isn't in the best shape against Hitmonlee. A Facade quickly takes Flareon out, and we switch into Arcanine. One Flamethrower takes Hitmonlee to half health as he hits back with a Mega Kick before falling to another Flamethrower. Rapidash is more or less useless against Agatha's Gengar, so we start with Flareon, who dodges Toxic before hitting hard with a Bite. A Shadow Punch doesn't do much as a second Bite takes Gengar out. Golbat comes in, who gets off a Confuse Ray, causing Flareon to knock itself out with assistance from an Air Cutter. We send in Ninetales, firing off our own Confuse Ray before hitting hard with a Flamethrower. Golbat quickly snaps out a Confusion though, firing off a Confuse Ray, but after 2 turns of hitting himself, Ninetales snaps out a Confusion, finishing Golbat with a Flamethrower. Arbok comes in next, losing half her health to a Flamethrower before knocking Ninetales out with a Sludge Bomb. We send in Arcanine, and a Flamethrower quickly knocks Arbok out. Gengar number 2 is out next, as Arcanine's first bite causes a flinch. A berry means that the second bite only knocks Gengar into red health before missing Hypnosis, but a full restore means we get a free hit of bite, which is a crit, leaving Gengar with only a handful of hit points left. Agatha doesn't care though, just using another full restore, but 3 bites and a missed Hypnosis later, Gengar finally falls, leaving only Haunter. Of course, Haunter isn't as defensive as its evolved form, so she falls pretty quickly to 2 bites, not even getting a hit in thanks to flinching. And then there's Lance. This was not a first-time victory. Flareon gets off a few quick attacks to take down a bit of Gyarados' health before falling to a combination of Dragon Rage and Hyper Beam. We send out Arcanine and call for takedown while Gyarados recharges, but it misses. Thankfully though, the second attempt hits, and as Gyarados has to recharge after another Hyper Beam, Lance can't use a full restore, meaning we can finish it with an extreme speed. Aerodactyl's in next, and Arcanine just manages to get off a couple of bites before falling to Ancient Power. We send in Ninetales, who eats an Ancient Power but manages to get off a Will-O-Wisp, which prevents him from fainting to a second Ancient Power, allowing him to get off a Confuse Ray. Ninetales then falls to a Wing Attack as we send in Magmar, who uses a Flamethrower, but Lance decides to use a full restore at that exact moment. We set up with a Sunny Day as Magmar lives through an Ancient Power, firing off a charged up Flamethrower that puts Aerodactyl in red health before falling to a Wing Attack. Rapidash comes in on our side, who thankfully lives through a Hyper Beam, knocking Aerodactyl out with a pair of takedowns. Dragonite's in next, and one more takedown is all that Rapidash can contribute. We send in Charizard, calling for Fly as Dragonite is confused from Outrage. We continue calling for Fly, and as Charizard is in the air, Dragonite knocks itself out in confusion. Lance brings out his first Dragonair, who immediately falls to a Fly aimed at its evolved form, somehow getting us to a one-on-one. Dragonair number 2 comes out, and with 2 flies, we beat Lance. That just leaves a champion, and if Lance was hard, Gary was damn near impossible. Flareon takes care of Pidgeot with a couple of flamethrowers, but the pair of aerial aces he took before means he's fairly low on health when Rhydon comes in. Thankfully though, Rhydon misses almost all of his attacks, leaving him on red health when he hits with a takedown, causing a double knockout. We send in Magmar as Gary sends in Blastoise, so the obvious choice is to call for Sunny Day. We then get off a Smog which poisons Blastoise before he sets up the Rain Dance. We then land a Fire Blast which is weakened due to the rain, so we set up Sunny Day again. That weakens Blastoise's Hydro Pump as another Fire Blast takes Blue's starter out. When Alexander comes in, a single Fire Blast is all it takes to wipe him out. Executor's in next, and of course a Flamethrower is enough to deal with him. Seems pretty easy so far, but almost every attempt was stopped by one single Pokémon. Arcanine. First up, an Extreme Speed takes Magmar out. We send in Charizard, who's hit with an Extreme Speed before missing Fly. The two then enter into a battle of Fly versus Extreme Speed and Flamethrower, but Gary uses a Full Restore which allows Arcanine to finish our starter off with a bite. We send in Rapidash, who manages to get Arcanine down to 1 HP with a couple of bounces, but of course, Gary just spams Full Restores. We actually get to the point where Bounce runs out of PP, so change the Stomp, getting Arcanine into red health, but for fuck's sake with the fucking Full Restores, cunt! A bite takes Rapidash down, and we send in Ninetales, setting up with Confuse Ray. We almost have a 1, but another Confuse Ray and some quick attacks barely register to Arcanine, who takes Ninetales out with a bite. That just leaves our own Arcanine, who hits with some takedowns, and mercifully, Gary has used all his Full Restores, so he can't save his Arcanine, and we finally win. And there we have it. No rematches this time, because literally the only fire type I haven't caught at this point is Moltres. I'll be doing poison types next, so I don't know when that is. I'm not good at scheduling these things. Or making outros for them. Or presenting them, for that matter. Bye.